This is the June 2011 paper. It's Unit 2, Number, Algebra and Geometry, and there's no calculator in this paper. Question 1 is an area of a triangle question, and it's worth 3 marks. You would be so lucky if this came up as a question for you in your actual exam, because not only are you getting marks for actually showing how you work out the area of a triangle, but the question's asking you for the area, and when you look at the answer line, there are no units given. So the fact that they wanted an area and they haven't given you the units mean that straight away, whatever workings out you do, you get a B1 mark for putting centimetres squared on the answer line. So let's answer the actual question now. Area of a triangle, it's always advisable to write the formula out whenever you're doing an area question. So the area of a triangle is half base times height, which is going to be half of 6 times 5. And 6 times 5 is 30, so half of 30 equals 15. And its area, like we said before, so it's centimetres squared. So 15 centimetres squared. So we said you get 1 mark for having centimetres squared. You get the other 2 marks for showing your working out and your answer. Question 2a, simplify. And they've given you some y terms, some x terms, and some numbers without letters. So I'm going to circle my y terms, including any signs before the numbers, but there's only one y term. So that's 3y. Then I'll put a box around my x terms, including the sign, so that's a positive 2x. That's a positive 5x. So together I've got positive 7x. And then I've got a negative 4, add 7, which is going to give me positive 3. That's just a 1 mark question, so you get 1 mark for getting it correct. Part B wants you to factorise 2x squared minus 4x. There's 2 terms in this expression, and the common factors within those 2 terms. Here we can see there's very clearly an x. However, if you look at the numbers first, you've got a 2 and a 4. And 2 goes into both those numbers, and x is the letter that goes into both. So you remove the 2x, open your brackets. Now, whatever you multiply 2x by to get x squared goes there. So 2x times by x gives us x squared. And 2x times by negative 2 would give us 4x. So that is a 2 mark. If you have that, you can get 2 marks. However, some people may not factorise it fully. They may identify that just the x is a common factor, or they might recognise the 2. So for example, they might have 2 open bracket x squared minus 2x. That would get you 1 mark. Or you might have just removed the x and said that that would be 2x minus 4. That would also be a mark. However, they are just, if you don't know how to do it, that'll do. But that's how you factorise. You remove the highest common factor. Question C want us to expand and simplify. And although I've got an 11 over here, I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment right now. I'm just going to deal with this. Now, this isn't just a 3 here on the outside of the bracket. It's a negative 3. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm doing my multiplying. I'm going to do negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6. And then there's that 11, which I'm yet to do anything with. So I end up with 11 minus 3x minus 6. And I can then collect the 11 with that negative 6. And 11 take 6 is 5. And I can't do anything with that minus 3x. So my answer is 5 minus 3x. I get an answer mark for that. And my method mark actually comes in for showing that you have successfully expanded the bracket. Question 2D, expand and simplify. Now this is a little bit trickier than usual, only because we've got a coefficient on that x. So what I've got now is x times by 3x, which is 3x squared. I've then got the x times by the positive 7, which is positive 7x. Here I've got negative 6 times 3x is negative 18x. And here I've got negative 6 times by positive 7, which is going to give me negative 42. I then collect and simplify. Positive 7x, take 18x, it leaves me with negative 11x. I've not done anything with that minus 42, and I've not been able to do anything with that 3x squared. So that's expanded and simplified. As always with expanding double brackets question, you get an M1 mark for showing any 4 terms correctly expanded without signs. So the signs don't have to be correct if you've got 4 terms. And then you get a final mark, the second mark, for getting the final answer correct. Question 3 is a product of prime factor question. We've got 2 keywords here. We've got the word product, which is the result of a multiplication, and we've got prime, which is a number that only has 2 factors. Okay, so that's important. We're looking for prime numbers here. Now, you must know your prime numbers. You need to know at least the first few. 1 is not a prime number. Lots of people think it is, but it's not. 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 5 is prime, 7 is prime. 9 is not prime because 3 goes into it. So after 7 we have 11, and after 11 we have 13. 15 is not because 5 and 3 go into it. 17 is, and 19 is. So you need to at least know those numbers because they help you with your prime factor questions. Now, you may have heard of this as cherry picking. You start with your 48 and you split it into any factor pair. And there's a load of different ways you can go about this. I always go for the 2's first. So if it's an even number, I'll always say 2 times what is 48? Well, it's 2 times 24. And then you look, are either of your numbers prime? Well, yes, 2 is prime. So I'll circle that because it means I can stop there. 24 is not prime. So I need to break that down. Again, it's even, so I'm going to go for 2. And 2 times 12 is 24. Any primes? Yes. Then I'm going to break 12 down into 3 times 4. And 3 is a prime. Then I'm going to break 4 down into 2 times 2. And both of those are prime. So I can stop there. At this point, I can make the clear statement that 48 is equal to 2 times by, this is where the product part comes in, 2 times by 2 times by, and I'm going to hold off on that 3 for now. I'm going to actually look at that 2 and times by that 2, and then I'm going to put the 3 on the end. I'm going to keep them in order just because it seems way more logical to do it that way. So the answer is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Now you can leave your answer like that, or you can write it as 2 to the power of 4 times by 3. According to this mark scheme, it doesn't matter whether or not you left it as that. So if you don't know how we got here, then that's fine. That will do. But you get an A1 for having either of those, and you get an M1 for showing what they call a systematic method that isolates 2 correct prime numbers. So you just needed to show that you understand the fact they want you to break the number down into its prime numbers. Part B is about buses leaving the station and when do they arrive. This question is very common, and there is a way of calculating it based on LCM method, but the easiest way to do this is to be logical in your approach. So buses to Exeter leave a bus station every 20 minutes. Buses to Plymouth leave a bus station every 16 minutes. A bus to Exeter and a bus to Plymouth both leave at 8 a.m. So that's the first bus for both of them. There's the Exeter bus, there's the Plymouth bus. When will the buses to Exeter and Plymouth next leave the bus station at the same time? And I'm going to remind myself that Exeter is every 20 minutes and the Plymouth bus is every 16 minutes. And I'm literally going to list the times until I find one that's the same. So there'd be 8, and then there'd be the 8:20, there'd be the 8:40, then there'd be the 9 o'clock. Then we'd have the 9:20, then we'd have the 9:40, then we'd have the 10 o'clock. So I'm going to hold up when I get to 10 o'clock and have a look at the Plymouth ones. So Plymouth at 8, then there'd be the 8:16, then there'd be the 8:32, then the 8:48, then the 9:04, then the 9:20, and oh, I don't need to go any further because I can see there's my 9:20 and the Exeter bus also leaves at 9:20. So I found my common time. My common time is 9:20. And this is all in AM, it says in the question. So whatever you do, don't put a PM on it because the mark scheme says that they will not give you a mark if you've stated that it's PM. So it's 9:20, 20 past 9. With regards to the mark schemes, you get 1 mark if you've shown a list of the first 3 buses. So you get method mark for showing the first 3 buses. You get the second method mark for showing that you can identify the correct time. And you get the third mark for writing the correct time. That's your answer mark.